Let's start with a simple question that every Nigerian has always been asking, but nobody's answering honestly. If you live right next to a massive orange farm, should oranges be cheaper or more expensive for you? It should be cheaper, right? Because there's no shipping fee, no import duty, and the raw materials are right in your backyard. So why is it that Nigerians sit on billions of tons of limestone and millions of barrels of crude oil? Yet, Nigerian cement and Nigerian fuel are some of the most expensive on the entire African continent. For years, politicians and economists told us a beautiful story. They said if you just produce things locally, the naira will gain strength, inflation will drop, and everyday Nigerians will buy goods at cheap local prices. But today, the exact opposite is happening. The mega factories have been built, the refineries are fully operational, but the prices keep rising every day. As a matter of fact, fuel price just crossed over 1,200 naira as of the time of recording this video. Welcome to the Dangote trap. This is not just about one billionaire or one company. It's a deep breakdown of a broken economic system. Today, we are exposing the dark reality of why producing things locally in Nigeria is actually making them more expensive for you, and the hidden dollar traps that ensure the average citizen keeps paying a premium for things dug out of our own soil. If you want to understand this, click subscribe and let's dive in straight. Let's start with one product almost every Nigerian needs to build a life: cement. The primary raw material for cement is limestone. Nigeria is blessed with it in abundance. Places like Obaj and Kogi State or Ibese in Ogun State, the ground literally gives this rock out for free. Dangote does not need to import a single gram of milestone. So look, logically, shouldn't cement be cheap? Here's the multi-billion naira secret. While the raw stone is 100% Nigerian, the entire manufacturing process is still 100% foreign. To turn hard limestone rock into fine grey powder, you need massive ultra-advanced industrial machinery. Nigeria does not manufacture industrial grade buses, giant rotary kilns, or heavy-duty conveyor systems. Every single piece of equipment in those factories was imported from Europe or Asia, and they were paid for in US dollars. When a critical part breaks down, which happens constantly in heavy manufacturing sites, Dangote cannot buy it in a local market. They have to order it from international manufacturers using scarce foreign exchange. But does it even get deeper? To run a mega factory that produces thousands of bags of cement every hour, you need a massive unlimited supply of electricity. We all know the national grid in Nigeria cannot even power a small street consistently, let alone a multi-million-dollar industrial plant. Because of this, Dangote has to build his own private gas-powered turbines to keep the factory running 24/7. Now ask yourself, how is natural gas priced in Nigeria? Even though the gas comes from the Niger Delta, the federal government benchmarks the price of industrial gas in US dollars. So let's look at the mathematics. Dangote pays for the machinery in dollars, he pays for the maintenance in dollars, and he pays for the energy to run the factory in dollars. And when the cement is finally packaged, it is loaded onto heavy-duty trucks that require imported tires, imported engines, and expensive diesel as heavily affected rates by the dollar. Now let's move to the biggest economic drama in modern Nigerian history: fuel. For that over 30 years, the collective prayer of every Nigerian was simple: let us stop exporting raw crude oil and importing refined petrol. Let us build our own refinery so fuel can finally be cheap. That prayer has been answered when the massive $20 billion refinery of Dangote officially started pumping petrol. It's an engineering marvel, the largest single-train refinery in the entire world. But the celebration was cut short. Instead of fuel prices dropping to 200 naira or around 300, the refinery set the price to around 1,200 per litre. How did we get here? Why are we paying international premium rates for fuel refined right here in Lagos? To understand this trap, you have to look at where crude oil comes from. You would assume that because Nigeria is Africa's largest oil producer, the government's own NNPC will simply hand over all of its crude oil needs to Dangote at a discounted price. But the NNPC cannot do that. Why? Because a massive chunk of Nigeria's future crude oil production has already been blocked and tied up in old foreign loans, cash call agreements, and pre-export financing deals with international banks. Because local supply is limited, the Dangote refinery has frequently been forced to import raw crude oil from places thousands of miles away, including the United States of America and Guyana, paying 100% in US dollars. But even when NNPC does manage to supply Dangote with local crude oil, a major legal hurdle stands in the way. Under the Petroleum Industry Act, all crude oil sold to local refineries must be priced at willing buyer, willing seller international market rates. This means that even if the oil is pumped from a well in Delta State and piped through Lagos, the government must charge Dangote at the exact same Brent crude oil rate in New York or London will pay. Now, look at it from the businessman's perspective. Aliko Dangote took multi-billion-dollar loans from commercial banks to build his refinery. Those banks expect their money back in US dollars with interest. Dangote is running a massive public corporation, not a non-profit charity. If he sells fuel to Nigerians at a deep discount out of patriotism, he will not run his refinery and will run out of cash, and the refinery will collapse. If global oil prices are high, his raw material costs are high, he always has the option to export his refined petrol to Europe, North America, and other West African countries to make pure dollar profits. To keep the fuel in Nigeria, local prices must align with what the international market is willing to pay. The refinery is in Lagos, but the pricing mechanism lives on Wall Street. But there's a final highly critical layer to the Dangote trap that most economic commentators are too afraid to talk about openly on television, and it is the single sovereign monopoly. In a healthy economy, prices are kept low by one major force: competition. And if company A raises the price of its goods too high, company B will cut their own prices slightly to steal all the customers. This forces everyone to keep their prices fair and efficient. But in Nigeria, the government has historically used policy called backward integration to protect local industries. While this policy sounds good on paper because it encourages local investment, it has accidentally created a system where a single individual or corporate entity completely dominates essential sectors. If you enjoyed this video to this point, kindly subscribe and turn on the notification icon so you don't miss out on future videos, and I'll see you in my very next one.